What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so let's talk about this. All right, so there are calls now for President Trump to resign. And this comes after a posting on his True Social platform where he reposted this old, I think it's might be a Lion King meme video or themed meme video. And I think the video has something to do with voter machines or something. I forgot. I know it has something to do with the 2020 election, which when I say he, I'm talking about Trump and his supporters, his campaign swore up and down that the election was stolen from them. Whatever. In this video, Trump was depicted as the king of the jungle, the lion, and Michelle and Barack Obama were depicted as apes. It's an old video. But for whatever reason, Trump decided to repost this video. Right? And, it's to a point now where it's quite obvious what Trump was trying to do. First of all, that was probably his team and not just Trump, although he probably had final say, I guess. But we all know what the implication was with that. Trump, to me, posted that video because he wants to turn attention away from the Epstein saga. The Epstein saga is the one thing that the so-called Teflon Don has not been able to totally shake. I mean, the campaign against him is relentless. It's a relentless, like Rocky-esque pursuit against him. Like, they just keep coming and coming and coming for him. They will not back down no matter what the fuck he does. It's like fucking Jason Voorhees, the Epstein files. They will not stop coming for him. And it's not like they're racing at him. He can run and sprint for, 25 miles an hour for half a mile. And he think he's out the blue. I mean, he think he's clear, and then all of a sudden he turn around and, Epstein Voorhees is right behind him, touch him on the shoulder. And, it is what it is, man. It's his fault. It's his fault because, I definitely believe that he's guilty. Anybody with a brain knows that he's guilty. But with his supporters, it's more important to beat the opposition. It's more important to take it to the liberals. It's more important to show the Democrats who's boss, to the point where they will excuse anything that he does. They will. And that's the sad thing about this situation. Also, look, if you're Trump's team, you look at it like this too, with this video of, Obama and, the wife being depicted as apes. Yes, it's controversial, but your base pretty much universally despises Obama. So they're not going to find it racist because they don't like the Obamas. But this Epstein thing, remember, a lot of people voted for Trump thinking that he was going to, once again, quote, supposedly clean up the swamp, or drain the swamp, I should say, and get to the truth and heart of this matter about the Epstein thing, only to realize he was pump faking the whole fucking time because he was in it. So what I'm saying is not all Trump supporters are the same. There are some Trump supporters who generally believe the bullshit he was saying. I still think that you guys were gullible, but you voted for him for different reasons. Some of them voted for him, obviously, because they wanted him to maintain a certain, supremacy. I'll put it to you like that. But yeah, this is bad, man. It's bad. And, in a perfect world, he would resign. But Trump puts himself above everybody else and every other thing. So you can't expect a man who doesn't have a conscience to feel bad and resign. It's not going to happen. I mean, Trump has put himself in this position to protect himself. I mean, if Trump had his way, he would stay president of the United States until the rest of his days. Now, see how that's going to happen, because the only way that he could do that is to have the 22nd Amendment repealed, but that still will require him to have to run for president. And, at his age, another campaign would be probably too taxing for him. So, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I'm just to the point now, man, where I look at the presidency almost like as a representation of our society, right? Who's in the White House. I remember saying to myself, and I was just 12 years old when he got elected. I remember when Bill Clinton got elected, and I remember reading about how, this is a guy that dodged the draft. This is a guy that was a serial philanderer. This was a guy that not only was he a cheater, but there were some instances where he allegedly acted violently against certain women. And look at this guy, and you say to yourself, man, how did this guy become president of the United States? Just one election cycle earlier, Gary Hart, senator for Colorado, had to end his campaign because he as a married man, was found to have been cheating on his wife with a model named Donna Rice. So previously, any man who had been a cheater, a serial cheater at that, his political career was over. The media helped to hide that shit from the public when it came to John F. Kennedy. They hid it when it came to FDR. FDR had a mistress. The media hid that. Well, Bill Clinton, it didn't matter. And I said to myself, man, this is a sign that our society is starting to decline and decay morally. So then I look at Trump, man, and we've gone down further. Trump is essentially our first troll president. He's our first troll president. And it's gotten to the point now where with Republicans, this is the first time that I've really seen them get to a point where they no longer have to even hide their racism. Now, I know people don't like to use the term party switch, and that's a little bit of an oversimplification. But the Dixiecrats, right? before the 60s, whoever said the N-word enough in their speeches essentially won the Democratic primary, which back in the Deep South essentially was the election, because the Republican Party was virtually non-existent in the Deep South before the 1950s, right? With the Democratic Party starting to become progressively more dominated by the liberal wing of the party, and when they found that they could win national elections without essentially the support of the Deep South, then the liberal wing of the party, the liberal wing of the Democratic Party became more and more prominent. Whereas with Republicans, the conservative wing of the party became more prominent. With the conservative wing of the Republican Party becoming more prominent, there was an outreach, of course, after LBJ's Great Society. There was an outreach to the Dixiecrats. And some Dixiecrats came over and voted Republican and became Republicans. Those were probably the more affluent, those who had more material possessions, those who benefited from the tax policies of the Republicans, those like Strom Thurmond, but more of the poorer, middle class and lower class Dixiecrats, they stayed Democrats, at least on the state and local level, and they just voted for Richard Nixon. They voted for Ford. They voted enthusiastically for Reagan in national elections. But then Republicans started doing something else. To scare these Dixiecrats completely over to the Republicans, they started playing this game of they're trying to take your jobs away from you. Outsiders are going to take what's yours. You got to work for what you have. They didn't have much, and they really weren't in danger of losing what they had. If anything, American policies, NAFTA, et cetera, took these jobs away from many millions of middle-class workers. But they used the scare tactic of, they're coming for your jobs. They're going to take your jobs. They're going to take your coal jobs away from you. And not necessarily just talking about black people, just talking about the government. When they already knew bipartisan, both parties, these jobs are gone forever. That helped to switch a lot of these people to voting Republican, because they felt like the Republicans helped to save them, and it didn't happen. Trump never brought these jobs back. He didn't bring back these older. Those jobs are gone forever. So you might be saying, what the hell does this guy do what you talk? What the hell does this guy do what you talked about earlier? Because I want to explain certain things to people as to why I feel like both parties are full of shit. Both parties have fucked us over as an American people, and they have us fighting over trivial nonsense. They use rage bait all the time to trigger us. See, the mainstream media doesn't really want us talking about the Epstein stuff. They really don't want to touch that. But they do want us to talk about racism, because it doesn't really hurt anybody. But I mean, nobody important is really going to get hurt by us discoursing about whether Trump is going to be, whether Trump is a racist or not. But talking about the whole Epstein thing, then, you got to start talking about people like Clarence Thomas and those allegations. You got to talk about Trump and specific allegations. There's going to be calls for some of these people to appear on these television shows, like, Face the Nation. They don't want that. Because then if you start asking the right questions, or should I say the wrong questions, okay, push comes to shove, those behind the scenes in the media who also have ties to Epstein, they're going to fall too. So they will much rather talk about these safe topics like racism and protect their own asses. But anyway, that's all I got to say about it. Tell me what you guys think.